Hello and welcome to the 2013 Mintex British Historic Rally Championship season review right here on Special Stage. What a year it's been. Some stunning battles up and down the field, a plethora of cars, some of the best rallies in the UK on the best surfaces, the biggest audience for a British Historic Rally Championship. It's been phenomenal. And it all started right the way back there in mid-Wales.
For Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride, it would be a good start. They come out of stage 2 and head into service with a 6-second lead in category 2. No problems other than the slippery conditions. It would be the slippery conditions that caught out Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison on the Pikes Peak stages, but luckily the pair get away with this spin and only lose a handful of seconds to remain in second place. Lacking the power of the Porsches ahead, it would be third for Graham Waite and Jill Cotton in the Volvo. The pair great at keeping the power down on the big car, but on these stages getting the speed up in the first place was difficult. In category 2, it was all going to plan for Richard Hill and Pat Cooper, the switch to the Mark 1 this season going well, and no real problems to report from the opening stages. For David Stokes and Guy Weaver, it would be 9 seconds keeping them from the number 1 spot, but at the moment there was no explanation of where those seconds were being lost. It was a good run so far for Roger Matthews and Paul Morris, as they settle for third in the category at this time. A cautious start for Gareth James and Stefan Evans wasn't showing up, as they opened a good lead of over 20 seconds on the morning's 2 stages. Clearly they had underestimated their own pace going into round 1. For Sean Rayner and Declan Deere in the Ultra Home Escort, it would be second, the feeling not quite there with the car and some investigation would be needed in service. A change of car this season for Ernie and Will Graham was going well for them so far in third. No time to test the Mark II, having changed from the Mark I Escort, but it didn't seem to be holding them back at this stage. In category 1, the lead would be in doubt for Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride, briefly losing the lead on stage 3 due to a slow puncture, but gaining it back again before service. They now just have a 1.6 second lead going into the final stage. Putting the pressure on the category leaders would be Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison. No problems in these 2 stages mean they close the gap and go into the final stage ready for a fight to the finish. There wouldn't be much change for third place, with Graham Waite and Jill Cotton still suffering a little, being down on power to the 2 crews ahead, but their advantage in that third place was looking like a comfortable one. On to category 2 now, and unfortunately we lose Richard Hill and Pat Cooper before the start of stage 3. The loss of Hill means that it's a step up to the lead for David Stokes and Guy Weaver. The pair had been chasing Hill down from the start, but this wouldn't be the way they wanted to take the lead. Still, it was now theirs to hold on to, and they set themselves up for maximum points here at round 1.
Get the watch going, somebody, so we can have him on the watch over the hill.
Change at the top would of course mean movement for everyone below, and it's a step up to second for Peter McDowell and Derek Davies. No problem, and finding the stages to be a lot faster and enjoyable. Not much would change in category 3 apart from the advantage, with Gareth James and Stefan Evans opening out a 42-second lead now going into the final stage. The win was now in their favour, but could they keep calm under pressure on this final stage? It would be second still for Ernie and Will Graham, still needing time to get used to the car. It would be a good run so far, although they would have to watch the pace in the final stage to hold off any advance from behind. For Sean Rayner and Declan Deere, it would be the ideal start to the championship. The pace was there and they were now pushing Graham into the final stage. Just 5 seconds stand between them and a second place finish. A cautious start for Graham Waite and Jill Cotton meant they couldn't advance any further than their third place. The speed in the afternoon was there, but it just meant they kept a steady third and not advanced onto the top two. With the lead swapping hands a few times during the day, it would be an unfortunate last-minute drop into second for Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride. They hold the lead for most of the day, but it was always in doubt with the similar car of Profit hot on their heels. So that means our round one category winners are indeed Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison. Their last stage push was enough to secure them the win and the maximum category points from this opening round. The final place on the podium was secured for Jeremy Wells and Ken Bowman in the Escort, the pair just over 20 seconds behind second place at the end of the event, showing the pace was there. Maybe a couple more stages and it could have given a different result for them, but for now third was a great finish. Taking the runners-up place this weekend in Category 2 would be Peter McDowell and Derek Davies. The pair had a good run over the final stage to hold off any advance from the chasing crews. But at the end of the opening round, it would be maximum points for David Stokes and Guy Weaver as they take a category win. Having held on to the overall lead for part of the day, it would be the acceleration problems that dropped them some time, but the category win is what's important for the points in the championship this season. There would, however, be a change for Ernie and Will Graham as they dropped back into third. The pair tried their best to hold on to second place, but it just wasn't to be in the end. That final stage push for Sean Rayner and Declan Deere sees them move up to second place, the result getting them some good points to take into round two and showing they were ones to watch for the season ahead. But it's a great win for Gareth James and Stephen Evans. The category had been theirs all day and it was a well-deserved result for the pair. The only trouble now was the pressure would be on for a repeat result as the crews head north for round 2, Rally North Wales.
Now then, there was a little bit of drama concerning the next round. You all know what happened, unfortunately. We lost it. But that meant it was all the more fun when we saw the cars out next on the Pirelli.
With another large Category 1 field assembled in Carlisle, competition looked set to be fast and fierce throughout. Taking an early lead after 2 stages are Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison. The pair first on the road, so struggling with those tough Kielder road conditions. Hard on their heels in second place at this stage are Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride. A clean run so far, just 15 seconds off the pace of the leaders at this stage. The big Volvo Amazon of Graham Waite and Jill Cotton holds on to third at this early stage, the fast nature of the stages really suiting this car. Looking at Category 2 now and leading the way after 18 miles of flat-out competition so far would be the ever-competitive David Stokes and Guy Weaver. Tim Mason and Graham Wild lie just 10 seconds back in second. They'll be looking to push for the category victory as they compete on some of their favourite stages. Following a disappointing retirement on the opening round, Richard Hill and Pat Cooper would be hoping to score some solid points here in Cumbria. They got off to a good start, third at this stage. With our Category 3 winners from Round 1 present here this weekend, a battle was on the cards once again, and showing that Round 1 wasn't a one-off, Gareth James and Stefan Evans open up an early lead at the front of the event. Sean Rayner and Declan Deere have a good, strong start on their first visit to these challenging stages in their Pinto-engined Mark II, just 30 seconds off the pace of the much more powerful BDA car in front. Ernie and Will Graham have a bit of a worrying start to their event when they suffer with brake issues in stage 2, Ernie reporting that the brake pedal would occasionally be going all the way to the floor. Issues like this knock the confidence of the driver and sometimes are the difference between winning and losing. With service and a further 2 stages completed, this is how our Category 1 crews are looking. Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison still lead the way in the category, but their lead is just 1.5 seconds at this stage. Chasing them hard are Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride. With just 2 stages left and such a small margin, the pair are going to have some fight on their hands to try for victory here at round 2.
5 right, opens to crest, 2 left, 130.
Just 10 seconds back and waiting to take full advantage should either of the Porsches slip up are Graham Waite and Jill Cotton. A faultless performance so far from the Volvo pair. In Category 2, David Stokes and Guy Weaver still hold a slim lead. However, they are coming under intense pressure from 2 crews behind them. The first of those crews breathing down Stokes' neck would be the similar Mark 1 escort of Richard Hill and Pat Cooper, just 7 seconds off the pace and looking for their first Cap 2 victory. A further 15 seconds back from Stokes are Tim Mason and Graham Wild in the 911. The pair would have been even closer had they not suffered with a slow puncture earlier in the day. Gareth James and Stefan Evans continue to extend their lead at the top of Category 3. The Welsh pair have a good, clean run to open up a 20-second cushion.
Right 9 here, very slippy, loose. And right 2 continues for 130. Right 2 continues for 130.
Setting some very impressive times in the Pinto engine Mark II are Sean Rayner and Declan Deere. They also set the fastest time out of all the BHRC crews through stage 3, thanks to some fresh rubber on the car. Ernie and Will Graham come up next in our results in 3rd, the pair struggling with the pace of the event today, but looking to take some strong championship points away. Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride had been fighting for the category lead going into stage 5, but they suffer under the pressure and end up going off in a ditch. The car is eventually extracted by spectators, but over 3 minutes are lost and they slip to 5th. An unfortunate end to a good run here at round 2. Scoring some good points for 3rd are Derek Boyd and Peter Scott. After their troubles at round 1, this would be a welcome result to take home from the 2nd round. The big Volvo of Graham Waite and Jill Cotton sees the finish once again. Another strong performance from the pair with 2nd, just 18 seconds off that category win. The stage is suiting the car and the driver style this weekend. But taking the category victory and extending their Cat 1 championship lead are Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison. Despite coming under pressure from the yellow Porsche and the big Volvo, the pair do just enough to secure the win at round 2. Tim Mason and Graham Wild slide the Porsche into 3rd spot, the crew unable to match the pace of the 2 escorts in front over the final 2 stages, but a good podium place finish in the category nonetheless. David Stokes and Guy Weaver end up coming 2nd best in the battle of the Mark 1s. Despite setting the fastest overall time in the final stage, they lose out by just 0.4 of a second. The pace at the top of the British Championship just as close as ever. But taking their first category win with a faultless drive are Richard Hill and Pat Cooper, overhauling the 3 times historic champion on stage 5 and doing just enough to keep in front. They take a thoroughly deserved category victory, which makes up for their round 1 misfortunes. Stephen Richards and Keegan Rees are unable to match the BDA-powered car in front, and they are forced to settle for third. However, they take maximum class points away from the event and a car in one piece, which is more than some this weekend. Ernie and Will Graham emerge from the Kielder Forests in second of the Cat 3 crews, with another good haul of points towards their championship campaign. That win's still eluding them at the moment, but the next round of the championship moves to asphalt, a surface where the pair go very, very well. So, making it 2 wins from 2 starts are Gareth James and Stefan Evans. A faultless drive from the pair sees them take the category win by over 3 minutes, as well as the overall historic rally win this weekend.
So, with the end of the Pirelli, it would be a goodbye to this stuff and hello to the black stuff as we head to the Jim Clark.
Coming from a tarmac background and after many years of Irish rallying, it's no surprise that Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride would hold an early lead in Category 1, the pair having a good run in the dark to take a 1-minute advantage into Day 2. Second of the Porsches are Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison. They dropped time on the longer Abbey St Bathans stage with the fog, unable to commit in the same way as the leading crews ahead of them. Taking an early third place is Derek Boyd and Peter Scott in their similar Porsche 911. Alternator problems didn't help in the night stages, but half the battle was just getting through, so it was going to plan so far. Into Category 2, and it would be a battle of the Mark 1 Escorts once again. Taking an ever so small advantage at the end of Day 1 would be Richard Hill and Pat Cooper, the pair's first visit to the Jim Clark going well. Just 0.3 of a second behind are David Stokes and Guy Weaver. They're swapping seconds all evening long with Richard and looking for a big push on Day 2 now that the fog has disappeared. Wayne Bonza and Richard Aston in their Pinto-engined example have a clean run to hold on to third place right up to the final stage of the day, where gearbox problems lose them a little time. In Category 3, it would be the familiar pair of Gareth James and Stefan Evans leading the way, the pair contesting their first tarmac event outside of Wales, and it was going well for them so far. In second, we find seasoned newcomers Adrian and Daniel Seabridge in their stunning total liveried Mark II Escort. Not the best feeling in the car this evening, but they must be doing something right to be second at this stage. Will Rowlands and Emir Hall are a new crew joining the BHRC this weekend. They get off to a trouble-free start, holding third going into Day 2. Day 2 would consist of 10 stages, none quite as technical as Abbey St Bathans, but the fog certainly wouldn't be expected to return on Day 2, so the real rallying would begin right here. Unfortunately for the crews though, the first stage of the day would be cancelled, meaning just one stage remained before the service to start their Day 2 push. So with the first of the day's stages gone, Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride would use this single stage to keep hold of their advantage gained on Day 1 with a brave run through the fog. Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison closed the gap slightly to just over 1 minute, but with still half of the rally left to run, their plan to settle for second may be thrown out of the window in place of a push on Day 2. In the varying conditions of the day's opening stages, Derek Boyd and Peter Scott would drop a little more time, leaving them to concentrate on making it to the end of this tough event and scoring some more championship points. In Category 2, David Stokes and Guy Weaver would take the lead of the class with the fastest time through Swinton. They open a margin of 15 seconds through the slightly damp stage. Richard Hill and Pat Cooper now fall back to second, a lack of confidence over the greasy stage causing that time loss. Bravery in the fog was one thing, but bravery in these conditions was quite another. Wayne Bonza and Richard Aston in their Pinto engine Mark 1 still hold third place. A good run over the opening stage also sees them maintain a good gap to fourth. those day one gearbox problems seem gone for now. In Category 3, Gareth James and Stephen Evans would extend their lead to over 2 minutes, the pair already looking good for a result this weekend if they can just keep the car on the road. Adrian and Daniel Seabridge set a quick time to hold second place, the pair showing what they're capable of here so far on this rally and ones to look out for on future rounds. Just 5 seconds adrift in third are Ernie and Will Graham, the pair setting the fastest overall time on this stage as they jump up a place and start their attempt to climb to the top. Unfortunately for the BHRC crews, there would be another stage cancellation in this loop, so Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride only complete 2 more stages after service. They do, however, up their pace to keep a good advantage over second with just 1 stage remaining.
Turn square, 6 left, 6 left.
So, with more stage miles being taken from the crews, Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison look set for second. With just 10 miles to claw back 45 seconds, it would take something drastic for that to change. Derek Boyd and Peter Scott have a trouble-free run to maintain their third place, the pair in no man's land in the results, with a good gap behind and in front of them. Unfortunately for David Stokes and Guy Weaver, it would be the end of the road in stage 13. They slide off and are left stranded, unfortunately causing the stage to be stopped for the following crews and of course ending their very good run at the top of the event.
That's the end of that then.
We no good? No.
No, you won't get out of here.
Okay.
Stokes' retirement sees Richard Hill and Pat Cooper move into top position in Category 2 once again, and they are looking to take maximum points following their Pirelli Rally victory in May. Just 1 more stage stands between them and that all-important Category 2 win. Wayne Bonza and Richard Aston move up to second place, a position they would be surprised with after their day 1 gearbox problems. But just 10 seconds back in third are Peter McDowell and Peter Moss in that Porsche. They'll be giving it all in that final stage to see if they can take those second place points. In Category 3, Gareth James and Stephen Evans continue to lead the way, the pair having a trouble-free run and looking to take overall victory on the event. Ernie and Will Graham keep up a fast and consistent pace in their quest for some strong points this weekend. They continue to open up a gap to third place, even if they couldn't catch the number 1 crew. Third place, which is now being held by Adrian and Daniel Seabridge. Following their earlier mechanical gremlins, the pair set some very quick times to move back up the leaderboard. Derek Boyd and Peter Scott have a consistently clean day and they finish in third place. Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison are unable to claw back the lost time from day 1 and have to settle for second place. Nevertheless, a good points finish on only the 3rd round of this championship. But taking their first category victory of 2013 are Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride. A faultless performance all weekend sees them claim victory by 40 seconds, and after their problems at round 2, this is a very welcome result for the pair. This promotes Mark Holmes and Tony Lindsay up to third place. They have a storming run through the final stage to finish just 1 second off second position. A good comeback from their slower day 1 start. But taking that second place are Peter McDowell and Peter Moss in their Porsche. A strong run throughout day 2 sees them rewarded with the best finish of 2013 so far. But taking a convincing category victory are Richard Hill and Pat Cooper. It's their second victory of the season and they also finish second overall of all the British Historic Championship crews. Will Rowlands and Emir Hall's long trip from North Wales is rewarded with third place. the pair scoring some good points on their first round of the British Historic Championship this season. Ernie and Will Graham comfortably claim second place in their Mark II Escort. Some impressive times from the pair on day 2, including some fastest overall times. These will certainly be ones to watch on future tarmac events. But taking their third category victory as well as the overall rally victory by a margin of over 3 minutes are Gareth James and Stephen Evans. Despite pushing hard all weekend, they reached the finish without a mark on the car and the championship lead.
So, plenty of drama on the Jim Clark. The wheels come off David Stokes' 2013 Championship Challenge. Gareth James returns to winning ways. A Desi Nut shows he's still got it in the Porsches as he punches through the fog to claim the Category 1 victory. But it was all change again as the crews headed to the Severn Valley.
As always, it's the British Historic Championship competitors that run first on the road, an advantage for making the best of the fantastic conditions. But for number 1 on the road, Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison, it does mean the pair have no lines to follow through these Welsh stages. This doesn't stop them though, and after stage 2, the pair lead the category by 11 seconds. For Desi Nut and Geraldine McBride, it would be second. They didn't have too much luck last time out in the forests on the Pirelli, but the good result on the Jim Clark must have been giving them some confidence, and they finished this pair of stages in second place. Third place wouldn't be so easy for Graham Waite and Jill Cotton. The already underpowered Volvo seemed to be struggling a little in the stages, a problem which would later be put down to the ignition timing on the car being out. But for now, just under 4 seconds separates them from Nutt and McBride in front. For Richard Hill and Pat Cooper, it would be the best possible start, leading the category at the end of the first pair of stages, and with a 9-second advantage. It was something of a luxury compared to some of the close battles that have made this category extremely interesting this season. For David Stokes and Guy Weaver, it would be second place, not helped by this overshoot in stage 1. It may not look like much, but when you're fighting for tenths of a second, mistakes like this can win or lose a rally. A new face for the 2013 season would be Steve Perez and Paul Spooner, the pair on their first outing on gravel this season too. The Stratos actually falls into the Appendix K Cup category, but as it's the only one, we'll include them in the Cat 2 roundup so that they would have a benchmark to see how it's going for the pair. And in fact, it was going very well, with times that would see them third in this category at this stage. Category 3 would see a shake-up on this round with a new name at the top of the results at this early stage. Ryan Barrett and Barry Ferris were no strangers to the BHRC, but this was their first outing for 2013, and what a perfect start for the pair, leading after stage 2, if only by 3 seconds. A change of tyres before the following stages though will go some way to helping them maintain that lead. Following the increase in pace on the Jim Clark rally, Ernie and Will Graham settle into second place and in fact post the fastest stage time on the opening stage. The stages will suit the pair this weekend as well. With the confidence growing, the results will hopefully follow. After being dominant all season, it would be third at this stage for Gareth James and Stephen Evans. A few moments in the opening stage and an overshoot on stage 2 didn't help the times. They lie 6 seconds behind Graham and 10 seconds off the lead. Over the next few stages, Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison would see their lead extend to 18 seconds. The stages change a little in the afternoon, just enough to keep everyone on their toes and reducing double run roads as much as possible. There would be a change in second place as Graham Waite and Jill Cotton take advantage of the continuing rain showers to pull back in the Porsches and hand back some of the advantage to the big Volvo. So for Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride, it would now be third, but it was far from over. Only 1 second separated them from Waite. The pair were, however, giving all they could, so any advance back up the results wasn't going to be easy. In Category 2, the only thing to change at the top would be the advantage. Richard Hill and Pat Cooper now with a 25-second lead just over halfway through the event. The pair were another crew to find the speed of the car outmatched by the efficiency of the historic wiper systems. So, with Hill gaining that advantage, it would still be second for David Stokes and Guy Weaver. But with no problems to report and no feeling that it was going anything other than well, Stokes had no answer for the pace of Hill up front. Our Appendix K runners Steve Perez and Paul Spooner were still going well, times that would have been third in Category 2, and the car running perfectly. Reliability and consistency coming together for the Stratos crew this weekend. Category 3 now, and the lead in these two stages extends a little more for Ryan Barrett and Barry Ferris, pushing on over the midday stages to gain 28 seconds at the head of the category. No problems to report, and everything going as it should be for the Northern Ireland pair. Still enjoying the faster flowing roads and going well in second are Ernie and Will Graham. The gap may be 28 seconds now, but they would continue to push Barrett all the way to the finish. A change in third now, as we see Will Rowlands and Rich Birch step up to that final podium place. A talk with the tyre supplier cleaned up some of the issues and improved things for the middle loop of stages. The rain midway through the day was what possibly decided the top three in Category 1, as third place would remain with Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride. 34 seconds was the gap back to second place at the end of the day. That lost time too much to make up in the two stages this afternoon. So that means the big Volvo making light work of the conditions, and Graham Waite and Jill Cotton get themselves a runner-up spot in Category 1, a place they gained midway through the day and held right to the end, as well as chipping away at the rally lead in the process. And for Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison, it would be that category win. A lead from the start seemed secure, but the advance of Waite and the second half of the day was a little bit of a worry for the pair. Just 6.7 seconds at the end of the day were all that stood between them, meaning that the win could have gone either way with the slightest of problems this afternoon. A great result for Peter McDowell and Derek Davies as they battle to keep the big 3-litre Porsche in a straight line. A change of tyres in the afternoon helping them with that though, and they end the day with the final step on the podium. For David Stokes and Guy Weaver, there just wouldn't be an answer. They end the event just over 40 seconds behind the rally leaders and felt there wasn't anything else to give from the car. Would this be a bad sign for future events, or would they be able to find that little bit extra and bring the fight back in the next round? So that means that it's Richard Hill and Pat Cooper who take the win in Category 2 here today, a lead they held all day in their escort, and one that would see previous champion Stokes wondering what could be done on the next round to make up that time and keep the battle close. Another good result for Will Rowlands and Rich Birch on their second outing this season as they finish up with a fantastic podium finish in the category, just 16 seconds off the pace of second 2, showing some good speed on the gravel surface. For Ernie and Will Graham, it would be second place. The pair struggle in the final stages with the engine cutting out on the car and an overshoot in stage 5, but they remain above the rest to take that runners-up spot. And so, with a dominant performance all weekend, the win would be taken by the Northern Irish newcomers for the season, Ryan Barrett and Barry Ferris. A lead that they held all day was still theirs at the end, and they take maximum category points with the overall win here at round 4.
Now for round 5, we've come to one of the most iconic locations in the UK for motorsport, the Epping Ranges. It's the Harry Flatters stages, and there's everything to play for in the championship.
Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride lead the way in Category 1 after this loop of stages. This was despite the pair having problems with an engine that wasn't quite right. Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison are second. They also suffer with engine difficulties on the 3 first stages, not helpful on the steep climbs and fast straights of the Epping Ranges. For Derek Boyd, a change of co-driver, this time Graham Wilde on the notes. The pair were getting used to each other, and this meant that they were third in Cat 1 so far. David Stokes and Guy Weaver set a blistering pace over the ranges to give them the lead in Category 2. Their last tarmac experience on the Jim Clark ended in disaster, and they'd be hoping for a happier one this time out. Richard Hill and Pat Cooper are second in Cat 2, struggling to get into the groove in the changing conditions, but they would surely up the pace after this initial pass of stages. Wayne Bonza and Rich Aston were once again third in Cat 2, the car actually a brand new car to Bonza, despite looking the same on the outside, and maybe this change will bring better luck for the pair. Despite the increased competition, Gareth James and Stefan Evans lead the BHRC crews and the Category 3 crews after 3 stages. Gareth's pace and commitment once again showing why he is a deserving championship leader. Second in Cat 3 are Kevin Davies and Effion Thomas, making their BHRC debut. The experience on Epping means that they are pushing hard and lie just a few seconds off the pace. Another new crew are Tom Davies and Den Golding. They also have Epping experience, but admit the pace at the top is hard to hold on to in the BHRC. Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison's charge pays off as they reach the top of Category 1. Ricky knows full well that a category win will do wonders for his championship challenge, so it's flat out from here on in. Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride drop one place over these stages. The battle between him and Ricky has gripped viewers of the BHRC this year, and with just seconds separating them, this looks to be another great fight to the finish. David Stokes and Guy Weaver still lead the way in Cat 2. The pair had a clear plan to attack from the off, and it's really paying off. Crucially, we lose their close rivals Richard Hill and Pat Cooper here. Pressure off for Stokes perhaps.
Keep out, tight 4 right over crest, don't cut. 40, 1 right down to 4 ways, 1 right long over crest and down.
Benefiting from the loss of Richard Hill, Roger Matthews and Paul Morris push on to hold an excellent second place in the category. This is despite the torrential rain in some places on the ranges. Wayne Bonza and Rich Aston continue their good run in third. The pair are happy with finally having a car that just feels right over the stages, allowing them to really get going. In Cat 3, Gareth James and Stephen Evans know they can't relax for a moment. Leading the category at this point, they have crews behind him waiting for any kind of slip-up. And in these conditions, anything is possible. Kevin Davies and Effion Thomas continue to push hard in second place. Avoiding the sheep and landscape narrowly during this loop, they are clearly pushing hard to catch Gareth at the top. Thomas Davies and Den Golding look solid in third place after these stages. They've just been off the pace of the top crews so far, but know that anything can happen on these treacherous Welsh roads. So, at the end of a hard day's rallying, Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride come home in second place in Cat 1. The pair had given everything through the car troubles and poor conditions, and they narrowly miss out on the top spot. That means, though, that Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison walk away as Cat 1 winners, another big score towards their championship campaign. They were pushed all the way by the other Porsche, but managed to make up that time that they lost earlier in the day. Wayne Bonza and Rich Aston end the day in third, happy that the new car has not only made it to the end, but finished well. A class win for them also means that they go home with a fantastic haul of points for the championship. Roger Matthews and Paul Morris finish second. The crew are delighted with their performance after a short break from the BHRC. They'll be right back up there if we see them out in future rounds. But for David Stokes and Guy Weaver, it's first in Category 2. The pair absolutely delighted with their day's rallying. They know they'd have to beat Richard Hill from the start, and they did just that. This result puts them right back in the frame for the BHRC title. Thomas Davies and Den Golding finish up in third. A great drive from the crew who enjoy the asphalt surface. We hope to see them out on future BHRC rounds. Kevin Davies and Effion Thomas can't quite find that last bit of pace to catch Gareth James, so they finish in second. The car and crew have performed fantastically over the day's rallying and go home knowing on another day it could just have been them at the top. But Gareth James and Stephen Evans take their fourth Category 3 win. Gareth had to stay right on the limit to the very end, and the pair have shown an incredible pace all day and score maximum championship points. For 2013, the Ulster Historic Rally would be based in Enniskillen. New stages and 42 miles of high-speed action on day one. But before we take a look at that action, Breed caught up with the category leaders at the start of the event. Onto the stages then, and taking an early lead of Category 1 would be Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison. The pair might not be favourites to take the early lead, but things seem to be going well over this opening stage. Second would be Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride. This pair had the home advantage this weekend, but with the stages new to everyone this year, it wasn't paying off at this stage. For Jeff Taylor and Steve Greenhill, it would be third. The Imp pair not quite managing to keep up with the Porsches ahead, but giving it a good go nonetheless. There would be a little surprise in Category 2 also, as we'd expected to see previous Ulster visitor David Stokes in the lead, but instead Richard Hill and Sam Collis make a great start to take a 6-second lead at this stage. So for David Stokes and Guy Weaver, it would have to be second. They were only one stage into the event though, so there was still plenty to play for. And third in the Category 2 runners would be Peter McDowell and Peter Moss in the big Porsche. Category 3 sees the return to the stages for Severn Valley winners Ryan Barrett and Barry Ferris, and why not, this being their home event, and it was showing, with a lead of 15 seconds on this opening stage alone. It wouldn't all be plain sailing for Barrett though, as current category championship leaders Gareth James and Stephen Evans were here to mix things up, second overall at this stage and looking really good on the stages. Ernie and Will Graham had been looking forward to this round for some time now, and they settle into a good third place. The time's not quite matching the top, but with some time to settle in, that could change. After service, it's back out for 4 more stages, starting with the Spectator Special around St Angeles Airport, and the Cat 1 lead didn't change, as Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison managed to open up a 15-second lead now. Which means for Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride, it would still be second. The pair would be on the back foot tomorrow when the stages start again. The times between the pair always so close, it would be hard to make any real difference on the lead without problems for Profit. These stages would see Clive King and Bob Ward make a step up the Category 1 results. The pair obviously just here for the old stager points, but nice to be in the mix for the category times too. In Category 2, things couldn't be going any better for Richard Hill and Sam Collis. The pair now have over a minute's advantage in that place, making a trip look worthwhile already, especially considering Hill cut his holiday short to be here this weekend. For David Stokes and Guy Weaver, it seemed like it was either one of those days. The rhythm wasn't quite there, and the pair are forced to end the day wondering what they can do to pull it out of the bag on day 2.
Middle over jump crossroads, into 2 left in, over crest, and stay tight, 2 left in, 40, push 1 right, opens over crest, and down, sudden 5 right in, so it's down, sudden 5 right in.
And rounding out the top of the Category 2 results still are Peter McDowell and Peter Moss, the Porsche pair enjoying a clean run to end the day with no problems to report. In Category 3 it would be all change at the top. Gareth James and Stephen Evans take the lead on the spectator stage to end the day with just a 0.7 second advantage. It certainly wasn't anything to celebrate about at this time, but was encouraging nonetheless. For Ryan Barrett and Barry Ferris, the time lost would be in part due to a mistake on the spectator stage. The pair misread the chicane and ended up wide, taking the wrong line and losing a few seconds in the process. This wasn't going to be something they'd want to repeat on day 2. Ernie and Will Graham still round out the podium places at this stage. The father and son team going well this weekend in probably one of their best performances this season. It was showing why they were looking forward to this round so much. Unfortunately for the Cat 1 battle, we lose Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison after the opening stage with gearbox problems, not helped with this moment caught on fan cam by one of our viewers. So that means the lead of the category was now in the hands of pre-rally favourites Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride. Not how they wanted to gain the lead, but all they had to do was maintain this finish. This also promotes Clive King and Bob Ward up to second in the category. not really fighting for the category points. The old stager win was as good as theirs if they finish, but they could still enjoy the fight and enjoy watching the times in the category. After its day one problems, it would be third in the category for Jeff Taylor and Steve Greenhill. The problems still wouldn't be over, the car jamming in gear on the opening stage and losing the pair some time, as well as this near miss on the morning's second stage. In Category 2 there would be no relaxing for Richard Hill and Sam Collis. The pair extend their lead in the category now to almost 2.5 minutes and in fact step up to second overall in the whole event. But with a lead like that, would there be any backing off? For David Stokes and Guy Weaver, it would be the start to day 2 in the same way that day 1 ended. Confined to that second place and looking unlikely that they would be able to take maximum points here this time around. But as they say, anything can happen. Peter McDowell and Peter Moss continue to round off the top 3. No threat to Stokes at this stage, and in fact the pair would start to show some telltale signs of smoke from the rear of the Porsche, something they would have to keep an eye on as the day unfolds. In Category 3 there would be a big shake-up at the top as category and event leaders Gareth James and Stephen Evans retire in dramatic fashion, an engine fire in their Escort forcing their good run to come to a premature end.
Right 80, right 380, left 3 over crest, left 3 over crest, 100 into right 3 over crest, middle over crest, 80, dip and brake, brake and dip, brake and turn left 9. Something's happened. Dip here. It broke down. Huh? It broke down. Right 9. Oh, fire. Extinguisher, quick. Pull in. Get in a safe place and pull in. Quick. Extinguisher. I got it. Pull it. I got it.
So for Ryan Barrett and Barry Ferris, it would be a step back into the lead that they started with on day 1. The times had been nip and tuck all weekend, and it was a shame for them to end it this way, but there were still 4 more stages to go. Barrett still has to finish. Promotion up the order for Ernie and Will Graham in this stage then, as they take advantage of the loss of the leader and move into a second place finish in the category. Lee Ashbury and John Pickervant still hold the lead of the rest of the field, holding off Seabridge and in fact moving up into third place after the loss of Sean Rayner and Declan Deere at the end of day 1. In Cat 1 then, it would be a well-earned finish for Jeff Taylor and Steve Greenhill as they bring the car home in one piece. There were times during the event that the pair must have wanted to call it a day, but their hard work paid off in the end. For Clive King and Bob Ward, it would be a perfect debut in Ireland. The pair take away maximum championship points in the Old Stager Championship and also get themselves in at second of the Cat 1 runners at the end of the event. But for Northern Irish pairing Desmond Hunt and Geraldine McBride, it would be the maximum score. The pair had a good run, but it's always disappointing to see the close battles cut short due to retirements. It would be good news for Peter McDowell and Peter Moss as the car holds up under the pressure and makes it to the finish. They get themselves third place points in the category and now have to sort the smoky car out before the next round. Resigned to second place from day 1, it would be crucial points for David Stokes and Guy Weaver as they bring the car home in one piece, those points adding to their tally for the championship so far. But for Richard Hill and Sam Collis, it was the category victory that never seemed in doubt. The pair settle into the car well together and make the trip to Northern Ireland count well towards their championship total. Unfortunately for Lee Ashbury and John Pickervant, their 8-second advantage wasn't enough going into this stage and they drop down to 4th in the final loop with problems, which means it's a step back up to 3rd for Adrian Seabridge and Ryland James. The podium place will go well to add more points to their championship tally so far. As could be expected, it would be a good run for Ernie and Will Graham, and they end the event second in category. Some great points to take away to the next round, and a good result for the pair. But taking the win on the home stages would be Ryan Barrett and Barry Ferris. The Severn Valley winners claim victory number 2 and really mix up the championship standings in the process. So the penultimate round of the 2013 Mintex British Historic Rally Championship, the Colin McRae Stages, bases itself in the stunning Scottish town of Aberfeldy. With its heathlands, streams and lochs, the beauty of the place is definitely there to lull drivers into a false sense of security. But what awaits is a series of technical and pacey stages on some of the very best forest roads in the country. Knowing they had to take maximum points in this round to keep their title hopes alive, Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison set a storming pace in their Porsche. The basis for the car might be almost 50 years old, but it wasn't showing here. Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride slot into second place. They get the setup of the car horribly wrong, losing them valuable seconds in the stages. They too know a win would do the world of good for their title tilt. And Callum Barney and Ron Shannon round out the Category 1 crews. Their resplendent red Cortina may be lacking a little oomph in places, but a 2-minute time penalty really hasn't helped their cause already. It's as you were in Category 2 with Richard Hill and Pat Cooper once again leading the way. Despite car troubles in earlier rounds, Richard is certainly much happier now, leading the way and many people's championship favourite. Sadly, we lose David Stokes and Guy Weaver in Stage 1. It's been a tough year for the pair with some real highs and real lows, and while this means there will be no 4th championship for David, it doesn't mean he's had the last word in the title fight just yet. So Scott Smith and Andrew Richards find themselves running second in the category, and while the pace isn't quite at the level of Hill in front of them, the pair are certainly having fun in the BHRC. All season long, Gareth James and Stephen Evans have demonstrated their outright pace on gravel surfaces. Even a small off over the first round of stages can't hold them back as they charge into a commanding Category 3 lead. Second are Sean Rayner and Declan Deere, once again performing a giant killing act in their Pinto engine Mark II, matching the more powerful car of Ernie Graham over the first stage and then taking 3 seconds out of him over Stage 2. For Ernie and Will Graham, it would be a start to the McRae that sums up their season. Not quite dialed into the car on the opening stages, they find themselves third in Category 3. But as we know, this pair can really launch themselves up the order when they get into the groove.
2 right long, into 2 left, 2 right long, into 2 left.
So it would be job done for Callum Barney and Ron Shannon. They bring their Cortina home in one piece, both having thoroughly enjoyed the event from start to finish. In second place would be Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride. The result isn't ideal for their championship hopes, but it does crucially still keep them in contention. Those earlier setup problems left them with an uphill struggle for the rest of the event, and in the end it was just too much to ask. That means that Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison take maximum category points here in Scotland. They took the initiative in the opening stages and never looked back. It's a fantastic result for the pair and ensures that they can still win the championship on the final round. For Scott Smith and Andrew Richards, it's big smiles and lots of sideways action as they finish the event second in Category 2. Knowing it from the off it would be a tough task to catch Richard Hill ahead, they nonetheless kept him honest and once again showed flashes of pace for next year. But first in Category 2 are Richard Hill and Pat Cooper, which means that they know that they are championship favourites going into the final round. A brilliant drive from Hill sees him dominate not only his category but the whole British Historic Rally Championship field on a very special day for him for a number of reasons. For Sean Rayner and Declan Deere, they'd have to settle for third. Losing time with a spin in stage 6, they can't quite catch the crews in front of them, but in many respects it's still job done. A class win and a good points haul mean they'll be going home happy. Ernie and Will Graham come home in second place in Category 3, potentially another case of what might have been for the pair, who set some really good times towards the end of the day. They know, though, that second place still gives them an outside chance of championship glory. But for Gareth James and Stephen Evans, it would be yet another Category 3 win. They knew they had to secure maximum points if they were to have any say in the title race, and that's exactly what they do, not really putting a foot wrong all day.
5 men, winner takes all, 1 British Historic Rally Champion. It's all to play for here on Rally Sunseeker.
Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride start the day with some fantastic stage times, mixing it with some of the higher powered Category 2 cars over shorter stages, once again demonstrating their experience in this championship. Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison have an eventful start to the rally, including meeting a flock of sheep halfway through the third stage, which means they drop some time to Nutt just in front. In third are Edmund Peel and Janet Crane, making a welcome return to BHRC action. The pair settle down into a consistent pace and set about keeping the Porsches in front honest. Richard Hill and Pat Cooper seem to throw caution to the wind in an event they don't even have to win in order to be crowned champions. They dominate the whole BHRC field and cap 2 from the off, setting a commanding pace. In second are David Stokes and Guy Weaver. Knowing only a miracle can give them the title, they find themselves in a strange situation. Clear of the chasing pack, but not quite on the pace of Hill ahead. Nick Danks and Martin Corbett have a new car for this event, and it really shows. Their higher powered Escort means they sit third at this stage. First in Category 3 are Ernie and Will Graham. They've threatened to take hold of Category 3 for some time now, and do so with an excellent performance over the opening stages. It's second for Gareth James and Stephen Evans. The car is not behaving itself at all over the first 3 stages, suffering regular cutouts and causing lots of lost time, which the Welsh crew can ill afford. And in third are Sean Rayner and Declan Deere. They are going hell for leather over the stages, but they soon learn that more cautious approach might be beneficial for the longevity of their rally. Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison push hard over the next 3 stages to wrestle back the lead from Nutt and McBride. They know they have to win the category to stand any chance of winning the title, so flat out is the only way. So in second are Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride. They've had a ding-dong battle with Profit and Harrison all season long, so why should this round be any different? It would be maximum attack once again from here on in. Third at this stage are Edmund Peel and Janet Crane. They're having a great battle with some of the old stager crews, and just goes to show how competitive this year's field is proving. Richard Hill and Pat Cooper extend their lead over all the BHRC crews and Category 2, refusing to back off despite having all but secured the title with their commanding lead. A change of tyre can do nothing for second place David Stokes and Guy Weaver. They're a supremely talented crew, but they can't live with the pace of Hill and Cooper today. Wayne Bonza and Rich Aston get a bit of a shift on to leapfrog Nick Danks and Martin Corbett into third place. Despite a few problems with the car, the pair are once again having a good BHRC run. In first are Ernie and Will Graham. They're having a real cat and mouse battle with Gareth behind them and are starting to enjoy the flowing stages even more. Gareth James and Stephen Evans sit in second. They know it will take an all-or-nothing approach to the remaining stages if they are to seal the category win they need to have any chance of being crowned overall champions. Sean Rayner and Declan Deere stay in third. Another series of small mistakes mean they lose time in drips and drabs over the stages, which is beginning to prove frustrating for the pair. In third are Nick Pinkett and Mark Butler, the Saab looking superb on the stages throughout the day, even if it didn't challenge towards the top of the timesheets. Second on their return to the BHRC are Edmund Peel and Janet Crane. They don't have the outright pace to match the other Porsches, but even so, a well-deserved haul of points. Ricky Profit and Phil Harrison's championship comes to a sudden and dramatic end as they stop in stage 9, shearing a bolt on the brakes, causing them to lock on over a crest and leaving the pair with no choice but to retire. So first in Category 1 goes to Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride. With this result, they also clinch first overall in the Category 1 standings for the championship. It's been a superb year for the crew, who have shown a mixture of skill and speed all season long. And in the final round of the 2013 championship, it would be third in Category 3 for Sean Rayner and Declan Deere. Their policy of maximum attack from the off had nearly cost them dearly, but another great finish for the hugely successful Pinto engine crew. Ernie and Will Graham end their season with a second in Category 3. The Irish pair have had a superbly consistent season, and who knows, with a little more time together, what next year could hold. Gareth James and Stephen Evans finished the year as they started it. A simply stunning final stage run sees them take around 20 seconds out of Ernie and Will Graham to take first in Category 3 once again. Third would be Wayne Bonza and Rich Aston, making it to the finish despite gearbox problems, and another great result for the pair. Second at the finish are David Stokes and Guy Weaver. Stokes has been a hugely impressive BHRC driver for some time now, and he'll be back to challenge right at the top of the standings next year. But for Richard Hill and Pat Cooper, it would be a hugely impressive result. Despite not needing to win their category, Hill knows no other way than flat out to the finish. He is totally deserving of the category win that crowns him the 2013 Mintex British Historic Rally Champion.
It's been a fantastic 2013 season. I've loved covering it for Special Stage. What a performance from all our drivers. We hope to be back next year to bring you all the coverage. But from me here in Poole, from all the drivers, thank you very much for watching.